check, check, check. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Ricca. With me, as always, are STRs Isaac Collazo and Jan Freitag.
Hey, Steph.
Wait, guys, something's different here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Interesting.
Who are all these people?
I don't know, but I feel like Chapel Roan. This is just like Chapel Roan. I can see it right now. This is amazing crowd.
We're at Chapel Roan at Lala. Is Snoop Dogg in the audience? Anyone? This is like the Olympics. Wow. We have an audience for the first time since this is our very first live podcast recording in front of a live, can we call them a live studio audience?
Yeah.
Yes.
If they applaud on demand. I need to give a little explanation of who we are and what we are doing here. First off, are any of you avid, casual, every week, every month listeners of the Tell Me More podcast?
A little more.
You can woo. It's Nashville. Okay, for the benefit of any new listeners in the room, welcome to the podcast. Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast, is a little more than a year old, and it's already built quite a cult following in that time, I might say. Or just a cult. If you know Isaac and Jan, of course, you know that these guys are made for the podcast format. And no, I don't mean it's just because you have faces for radio.
Oh, thank you.
We get together monthly and we unpack the latest hospitality performance data. And then these guys geek out. And there's really no other word for it. I mean, Jan and Isaac, they brought their laptops up here. Yeah. They geek out on interesting data points, travel trends, you name it. So Tell Me More is Hotel News Now's top most downloaded podcast. So at the end of our session today, we're going to put up some information for how you can subscribe to the pod. But for now, you all get to be in the live audience for our very first podcast. And we will be taking questions, so feel free to roll questions in, and we might have a surprise guest join us too. Who knows? There's a fourth stand. We'll see what's going to happen. So guys, how you feeling?
Yeah, a little hot.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get into this. Let's get into it.
Are we taking jackets off?
We're taking jackets
See,
off.
I put mine on because I thought maybe people would think that
All right.
You
I
would
was
never
different.
know this,
Okay.
at home when you listen on your commute, but yeah, we're
All
casual.
right.
So thank you for being here. We can't really see you, so you got to like woo or applaud at points so we know that you're
Right.
still there. I, for one, miss beer with the bosses and the wine and all that because this
Well,
would be perfect right now to have a
But
little.
here's my first question, really, guys. We just came from the networking reception with the road trip snacks. What did you choose? Favorite
Oh
road
my
trip
God.
snack?
It was like trick-or-treating. I mean, I have a whole bag of
Isaac
snacks
was
now.
stuffing Doritos in his mouth at backstage.
I have everything, but the Doritos, oh my God.
Cool Ranch?
Cool Ranch. That was my favorite.
Jan, what was yours?
3 words: gummy bears. So.
2 words.
Good too. That's good. Oh,
For
good.
me, it was
You're at
combos, and I
numbers.
think combos was one of the most voted on road trip
Wow.
snacks that we had. So, again, submit some questions via the app if you'd like. Then one other fun thing we're going to ask you for. So this podcast has a bit of a buzz phrase. We've talked a lot about buzzwords so far today. Our buzz phrase is tell me more. So if you hear any one of us say that, we want the biggest round of applause that you can do, right? Should we practice?
Really?
Hey guys, tell me more.
Wow.
All
I got
right.
it. Okay, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, then let us start like we usually do. Brief recap of the latest hotel performance data. Isaac,
Yeah. And
quick sketch of top line July.
Oh, yeah, and you heard Amanda mention it this morning at the forecast panel. And so RevPAR is estimated to come in at 0.1%. That is well below what we thought. ADR was up 0.6. Occupancy was down minus 0.5%. And sold rooms, Jan, were at 0.0.
So is that a black zero or a red zero?
It was
Is
a
like,
black
are you rounding
zero.
up or
It was a
rounding
black
down?
zero. So it was actually 0.03. So we actually grew demand slightly.
Just like that. 5/1000 of a second wins you a gold medal.
Exactly.
Demand is positive in July.
Just
again, ladies and
barely. I
gentlemen.
think it was like 38,000 rooms estimated, if I remember correctly. It was interesting. The chain scale profile for July looked a lot like what we've seen June year to date. So that whole bifurcation still is there. And again, it was really interesting because we've been seeing economy hotels improve, but in July you actually saw again exactly what that year-to-date number was. It was down a little bit more. And I think what most astonishing for me was what happened with the year-to-date number. So in year-to-date of June, we were up 1.4% RevPAR. It's come down to 1.2% because of July's prelims.
So 1 month drops us by 20 basis points. Wow.
Yeah, it was, again, and we looked at the composition because we thought, hey, maybe it's something with the composition, because at one point, Jan is baiting me through Teams. I hate Teams, by the way. I hate it. He's going 2.4%. RevPAR is going to be up 2.4%. And I kept saying, I don't think so. There is some compositional things that will change it. And sure enough, we traded a Saturday and a Sunday for an extra Tuesday and Wednesday. So then what I did, just as we were looking at the prelims, we looked at the 29 match days of the month. RevPAR wasn't that much better those 29 days. So the match days were only up 0.6. What I call the mismatch days then brought the month-to-date or the monthly number down. So it was a very interesting month. There's a lot more to unpack. I have lots of notes, but I don't want to hog up the time.
Yeah, so it's not great. I think 0.1%, it is positive, but I think there are these pockets of green shoots. So if you look at the urban preliminary number, RevPAR is up 3%. And then if you dig down into the group, there was another very, very strong group month. You heard a bunch of us talk about group today in some of the breakout sessions, and you are all here with the wait list of, what was it, 1,200?
More than 200.
More than 200.
Not quite
Yeah,
1,200.
Everybody wants to be together again and come and talk and have gummy bears and share the latest revenue management practices. So I think I am continuing to be hopeful that group's going to really accelerate. And when I talked to some of you earlier on and listened to the 2Q earnings announcements, group continues to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's funny how we've changed places. You're now the optimist, and I'm the pessimist. But again, I think there were yes, there will be a lot more to unpack. Again, there are some positives. In fact, we looked at upper upscale and upscale. We're actually at 1% RevPAR. So again, better than the national average. But again, it's going to have to peel back that onion, do a lot more analysis, see exactly what happened within the industry.
I mean, group ADR for the month prelim up 4%. That's, I think, a very, very good number that we can use to go forward.
So you're calling back a lot of data and interesting talking points that we heard from some of this morning's breakout sessions. I want to ask you both, what is something else that stood out to you so far this morning as something particularly interesting? I loved Aaron's slide this morning that showed that total difference between domestic, inbound international, and outbound international, and just how far off it was from 2019 levels. Any other particular interesting, fun, cool, weird data point? Jan, what did you find?
So I got two things. The first one was in Carter Wilson's AI panel. One of the gentlemen, sorry, I don't remember your name, but you said that it was really interesting. You could have AI give you an answer, and then you ask AI to check its own work. And I was like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. So that's a takeaway for me. And then Vail Ross talked about what they have in the Simple View group data, that the peak room demand is higher than it was pre-pandemic, but that the total group count attendees is lower. So I thought that was an interesting bifurcation, an interesting sort of data point that I wasn't aware of.
It's the panels that I saw that really stood out, again, with the ones on the power of events. So we looked at both concerts like Taylor Swift and all that and what they did. We also looked at the sporting events. And I think just that whole idea of experiences continues just to grow and grow. And I think that's going to be the driver for our industry, obviously. And this is an experience itself, right? Being in a conference, being in a meeting, it is an experience. For many of us, it's an experience.
Let's hope it's a good experience.
It's a good experience.
Right?
But yeah, I'm already getting in trouble. And but yeah, I think that's what stood out, looking at that data and going, wow, it's just amazing how much that can drive. And one question was asked, who is the next Taylor Swift? And it was a great question in the room I was in. It's like, wow, hopefully there's someone next year.
Isaac, you tell us. You were just at Lollapalooza. It's Chapel Roan.
It's Chapel Roan. I actually believe it is.
All right.
Shout out to IHG for some fun times at Lollapalooza.
You heard it here first. So we're starting to get questions in.
All right, great.
And I'm going to ask you guys one before we bring up our special guest, because it does have to do with what we are talking about. Did the shift in July 4 contribute to some of the forecast changes?
Yeah, so I started looking at that, again, when the data became live on Wednesday. I was starting to figure that out. I believe so. This is, again, July, again, the reason why I was questioning you back a few weeks ago is because this July matches the July in 2019 when the 4th of July fell exactly the same way. And in that year, it also was a weaker July. And again, 2019 was weaker all along, as you well know. But again, I think it did shift it. I still haven't unpacked it enough to tell you exactly why and how and what happened. But yes, I think there's an impact there.
But at the same time, July 5th, right? TSA,
right.
Highest throughput ever, right?
That's it. Tell me more. But talking about TSA, and you heard it again this morning, I think, from Emmy, July screenings was the highest ever recorded. So #1 in the book. So again, it's really interesting to see what happened with the demand side at up only 0.03, yet there were more people flying than ever before. But what's also interesting to think about this summer is July was #1, June was #2, and May was #3. So it is just, I mean, the people are out there traveling, they're just traveling differently, I think. And that's just, I'm still trying to process that. It's like, where are they staying?
Well, go ahead.
Part of that is probably the overlay, and I wrote about this on CoStar News. You know, if you take my favorite data set, I-92 APIS, shout out to the Department of Commerce.
That's license plate.
The amount of people flying from the US abroad, either with American passports or non-US passports going back home, that number has accelerated, and so we're seeing more TSA throughput. And I think somewhere there is a relationship, that we have more people flying not domestically, but going abroad. They will still be counted when you check in here in Nashville and take the London flight on British Airways. You will still be counted in the TSA numbers.
Of course
so I think there is a relationship.
Yeah, and what's interesting looking at, again, I've been looking at that as well. You index the outbound travel. It's still in June was up 20%, and it's still year-to-date more than 10%. So yes, we see it, and I happen to be in the south of France this summer, and there were more Americans there than French. And so it was our anniversary. Daniel said it this morning. It was his anniversary. I was there too for the same thing. It was an anniversary trip. So yeah, you saw lots of Americans. I made a lot of jokes. I did some presentations.
So the outbound international number is?
All Isaac.
All Isaac.
It's all Isaac. It was great. So I love traveling.
All right, guys. Now, as much as we love listening to you two talk, I think that it is time to take this episode of the podcast up a notch and go into territory where we have not yet gone before. We're going to switch things up and bring out our very first podcast special guest. Now, I'm afraid sometimes to bring new people into the mix because who knows what's going to happen. And this guest is such a special seeker guest that he's not even listed in your program. But I would like to welcome up Alex Cisneros, the Chief Commercial Officer of Mint House. Alex is an industry veteran, longtime New Yorker. First U.S. job was in construction, so maybe he'll talk a little bit about that. Alex, come on up.
Stand up and shake his hand. Hey, welcome.
Thanks for coming.
And
Alex, you are a brave soul, being the very first special guest for the Tell Me More Hospitality Data podcast.
That's right. That's right.
So, what's your favorite road trip snack?
I don't know. I love traveling with kids. You eat all kinds. So
Whatever's left in the bottom of the bag?
Potato chips.
Potato chips? Classic?
Yes.
Good? I like it.
Well, you told me that it was going to be a podcast. I didn't expect to see an audience here, so thanks for letting me know. But
yes, we all have voices for radio. It's fine. It's fine. So, Alex, start by telling us a little bit about yourself, because a lot of us know you from Red Roof Inn, where you spent many years. Now you're with Mint House, which we touched on a little bit. Travelers are traveling in different ways now, and Mint House caters to some of that. So give us the old tell me more introduction.
Well, you're going to hear my sexy accent. I'm originally from Ecuador, so I'm going to compete with yours.
Clearly, we specialize in sexy accents.
I think so.
So
Try one.
right now I'm with Mint House. I've been with the company for a year. It's a new brand. So I think a lot of people probably have horrible stories about staying at a short-term rental, an Airbnb. You read it on the news. What Mint House tries to do is solve for that. We offer the consistency of a hotel with the spaces of a home, of an apartment. Most of our units have kitchens, have refrigerators, 1, 2, 3-bedroom units, so this spacious apartments. I've been in the hospitality industry for 20 years. I got into the industry not really realizing that I was getting into hospitality. There was a company called Sendon many years ago.
Many years ago.
And they were looking for somebody that can actually write code and SaaS and do forecasting. So I raised my hand. They said, do you want to do, it was called analytics before it was revenue management at Sendon. And I joined the company. We did a lot of great work with timeshare initially, then moved to vacation rentals, hotels. And it has been a really great journey. I was just in Europe last week. And yeah, I got to go.
Hermano.
Yes.
Who hasn't been to Europe this summer?
And you know, it's awesome to see how travel connects people in so many different ways. So I'm really happy that I end up in this industry, working with so many great people, and out here.
Well, we're happy to have you. So I wanted to ask you a question regarding Mint House. How many properties now?
Right now we have 12 properties.
Okay.
We're opening 3 new properties. So we specialize in multifamily buildings. So it's a combination of converting existing commercial space. So we're going to open a property in Washington, D.C., a few blocks away from the White House. It used to be a commercial building, and now it's going to be apartments. We also have buildings that we operate a few floors of the building, and the other floors are just regular monthly residents. So we have different business models. It's so interesting. I think for CoStar, it will be really cool to know what commercial space is out there that we can turn into multifamily. Somebody told me that about a mall in one city that it's being considered for multifamily. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities out there for investors and people that want to convert unused commercial space into multifamily or hotels.
Now, what we were talking backstage. What I think is fascinating about your career is you came from Red Roof now, and now at Mint. What are you seeing differently in terms of the guest type, or how did you change your mindset from going from economy now to more, not extended stay, but more apartment living type of units?
Well, there are similarities and differences. First, I think we all are trying to drive revenue for property owners, so the similarity is there. The difference is the type of customers. So we get families that are looking for more space. Sometimes in a hotel, you cannot have 2 rooms adjacent, so staying at a 2-bedroom, you solve for those problems. We also have some of the customers that we get can be international travelers that are looking to sometimes cook their meals at home when they are staying for a long period of time. There's also the groups that are in a transition phase. Either you move to a new place, you're still unsure where you want to be. In New York, for example, Dallas, Denver, and you come and you're in that transition phase. There's also people that, life changes and you just got a divorce and now you need to find a home. So we have the space for you, and different set of customers is very similar to many brands that offer extended stay when you think about it. So it's a little bit of hotels, a little bit of extended stay, and very similar to what Airbnb offers or VRBO. I think that people are looking for the bigger spaces and have an experience that is relatively close to where they want to be. So I think that's where we fit in.
This special live episode of Tell Me More is sponsored by Expedia Group. Expedia Group helps partners boost performance and welcome more guests. Stay informed with data-driven insights by connecting with Expedia Group on social at Expedia Group and Expedia Group partnerships for the latest in travel, tech, and partnership news.
What were your impressions this morning, Alex, of revised STR forecast, some of the trends that we were talking about, and how do you make those changes or trends apply to the business model that you're working with now? Does it line up?
It definitely lines up in terms of changes in consumer behavior. I think we see a lot of last-minute bookings. The duration, we average about 4 nights, and now it's trending around 3. So we have lost the Sunday, Monday, or Thursday that we got to benefit after COVID. I think it's similar to what I heard this morning. I think the major difference that I've seen is that business travelers are looking for a different experience, and I think they're looking for more space or something that it feels different, like I think the loyalty component of many brands makes it very attractive for them. But there are business travelers that we're seeing. Like here in Nashville, we have 3 properties, and we work with a couple companies that they send their employees for training. But those trainings are 2 or 3 weeks, and they want to have a bigger space. So in some segments, we are doing very well, but others, I think it's definitely you see the slowdown.
So let's talk about that shift in what business travelers want, because I think it's a really fun topic, because you are all business travelers, we are all business travelers, catering to business travelers, so it's the biggest focus group for business travel that we could have. Jan, what do you want as a business traveler from where you're staying? How has that changed? You know, we talk a lot about demand for different types of trips changing, and we talk about trip duration and experience. Does that fit into Jan as business traveler mode?
I mean, I wish you well, but I have to use my internal booking engine, and I don't think you're in that.
Oh, we are.
So
we are in GDSs.
Okay,
we are in many. Yeah, we
so
are
on Concur, you're
Yeah.
okay. That's good
So-
to know.
So that's solid.
We've been working on it. So that's some of the. In short-term rentals, I think there was a reliance on Airbnb and VRBO, and now they're discovering that they need to be on other channels.
Yeah, but there's always the problem, right? It's like people said, oh, you know, this is such a good experience. I'm like, I don't see it in front of my screen, and I'm not going to book it outside the channel.
You know, we are in many platforms now and growing. And there's also limitations in technology. When you think about it, how many GDSs have spaces for a 3 or 4 bedroom unit to be displayed in a search result? So it's changing as well, but with the experience that we have in hotels, we know that we need to be where, you know, travel managers, GDSs, and other platforms that are important to the business traveler.
But you didn't answer the question.
No.
You kind of avoided that.
Yeah,
You're
no,
just like,
we
Do
got
you
to.
want lots of space? Do you
want-
want kitchen? Do you want, chime in. What's the next wave of
I'm
business travel?
I'm not in the room. I check in at 11. I watch ESPN for 20 minutes. I shower in the morning, and I'm out. So like,
I'm not
give
traveling with
me
you.
working Wi-Fi.
and I'm still going to travel with you. Because you're just
So Isaac, then, you're a business traveler who's often combining work with business,
yeah.
with
Pleasure,
leisure.
right.
So the classic leisure traveler. We haven't said that word in a while, have we?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking for, of course, all the room amenities that we all are accustomed to, but then I want a place to be more social, right? So I want to be able to get a nice bourbon drink, just get and meet people. That's what we do in this business. It's about learning about people, understanding what they're going through, what they do for a living, and that's what I want. So I want a bar. I mean, I should just say it. I just said I want a bar.
Tell me more.
Tell me more.
And a good
That
bourbon.
was a cheap shot.
and a good bourbon.
All
And
right. So I want to veer the conversation next to ask about hot destinations. And I don't mean hot in temperature, although we did talk about Smile for a while post-pandemic. But Alex, you're putting in new mint houses. You've got some under development. Isaac and Jan, you guys are looking at the data all the time. This morning in breakouts, we talked about top 25, urban, off the radar spots too. So tell us, what are the next hot markets? Loaded question. What do you think?
Wow.
So we clearly see this convergence of leisure, business, so markets that have easy airlift and then can appeal to multiple segments of the traveler will continue to do really well. And I mean, Nashville is
That's what I say. It's
the poster child,
exactly right.
you know, for that. And you're opening another property here, so clearly you also like this market and this trend. I think what we've seen post-COVID is that this idea of, oh, can we combine trips? That is a trend that was clearly there because we weren't working in the office. Now the question is, are we all back in the office? Yes, maybe, maybe not. So I'm not sure how much that end of the week dripping into the weekend trend is going to continue and what that means for development. I think on the very, very, very high end, the ultra luxury, you really want to go off the beaten path and just have 20 rooms and take your own plane or whatever to those locations. Those are always going to continue to do well. But as you go down the food chain and you have to have a broader reach, I think you have to look for what is the customer, how many customer segments can you attract?
And again, I think it goes back, you said something there that just keeps triggering the word, which is you want to experience. You know, we all travel a lot, and I guess even shout out to all my friends out here, but when we used to, the only experience I had was running in a city, right? Because you were only there for one day. And at least I could say I saw the city I ran, but at least I saw something, right? How many,
Isaac's running tours coming to
yeah, exactly.
top
But what do you,
locations.
I mean, how many times have we gone into to a city and literally go to the airport and saw nothing? And I think now people are changing that. And again, you've got some experience. That's why I think Nashville's a great town, because even if you're here one night, you can have a great time. And I'm a big
shout out
to Nashville.
You've got one night.
Yeah, it's a great place. So I think that's the next big thing is how do you combine that? How do you keep building on experiences? Because again, you've seen it with Taylor Swift. That's an experience. You've seen it with a lot of these.
We should have a cowbell every time.
Except with Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
But even in Chicago last week, I mean, it was the largest audience ever for Chapel Roan. It was also the biggest audience that for the 4 days. They were sold out for the 4 days at Lollapalooza, and that's 111,000 people per day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good for our industry. It's good for all the restaurants, everything else that comes with it, right? So I think that's what people are looking for.
How does experience play in?
Well, before I answer the question, I was going to ask them a question because
Please.
this morning I was looking at the forecast, and many of us are working on budget season. And so your forecast is super important to have those fun conversations that we all have. But I've also noticed that the dollar is a little bit more affordable for international travel. So do we think that that is actually going to help us next year?
It depends. I mean, we're saying that, yes, if you saw our forecast, what's built in is for international travel to get closer to the 2019 levels in 2025. So yes, I think that's what we've built in. I keep getting stuck.
I don't think the answer is it depends. The answer is yes.
Well, it depends because there's a lot of other things in the world that could change, but we're building that in, right? So I call it depends because I'm riding the fence right now. Okay, can you see that?
I'm
going
just looking
a
at what Aaron said this morning.
It's like the balance beam. I have to stay on the beam right now. Because Olympic reference. But yes, it should. We should get back to normal. So that should help. But again, I say should because I think there's a lot of other factors that could derail that, or we could fall off the beam. I keep getting stuck.
We're going to stick the landing.
I know. I'm hoping to stick the landing.
We
So.
better.
Well, I asked a question. We have a couple properties in Florida and obviously New York. So we're noticing that when we look into the future, that we have actually decent amount of international business coming to our properties. And it's from Asia. Like, we are small, so our data set is very, very small in comparison to the bigger brands. But it's very, in one hand, we definitely feel the pressure, but on the other hand, we are optimistic with certain segments, and a lot of the business travel continues to return. But at the end of the day, I think people are looking for a really good experience. Sure. One thing that I shared this morning in our panel is that we have some properties that have pools, and as part of our residential construction that we share the facilities and the pools and whatnot. And we were we've been thinking about how we deliver alcohol to the pool.
Oh, great.
Right?
I'm here. I'm in.
I think about
Because
that all the time.
Who among us?
Because they are looking for that
Right.
amenity, and how do you make it simple? So sometimes we think that we need to put a bar on site, but what if you create technology that can make it simple for your neighbor that has a bar to deliver the alcohol to the pool? So those are the kind of thing, the
like
flexibility that we are trying to work through.
Airbnb bar.
Yes.
Oh.
Good, Jan. I like that.
Okay. Because really, Mint House model is pretty low on property staff, right?
Yeah, we try to use technology to automate the experience. So through technology, you get the instructions to access the unit directly if you choose to. We also have staff if you want to go and meet our team. We are staffed 24/7 in the call center as well. So it feels like a hotel, but if you choose to have a different kind of experience, technology should help you. The other thing that we also finding that consumers want to be able to have in room what is important to them. So we have a solution, it's Stock Your Stay, that allows you to order different items to your unit before you arrive. The most common one is ice cream. So that's what people want to have.
Really?
So
Okay.
Ben and Jerry's, that's it.
See, the data you never thought you needed here at the Hotel Data Conference.
And I should have added, I actually had the international data up on my computer. I didn't even reference it.
Well, and I will remind you all that the phone lines are open. I feel like we should have an old-fashioned phone and say first-time caller, long-time listener. But we are getting a lot of questions about that recovery of international inbound and what you all think in terms of what the channels are going to be for it. How are they going to come to hotels? And really, where are they going to go and when? I think there's a lot of hunger for that international inbound.
Yeah, right now, just look at compared to 2019, it's still more than 10% down over the last 3 months. And we had been already increasing. We thought it was actually going to turn positive. That's the little blue bars, the lower blue bars there. And we thought it was going to turn positive, and it didn't. It actually went negative again. So, that's the part, that's why I say it depends, even though, because we use, obviously, it's a model, and we use forecasted values into the models for demand. And the forecasted values for international travel is that it recovers in 2025, and that's why I keep going. That's why I'm on the fence, because that's what the values are that we're inputting to the model. But I'm looking at this trend, going, I don't know.
He's just pointing.
To my own, to my computer.
So let me give you one more argument for your perspective, which is this conversation about total cost of travel, right? There is the hotel cost, but of course there's the airfare cost. And for airlines, it is very easy to take supply out of inventory and park it in the desert in Yuma, and then say, oh, we have fewer seats available, and therefore we're going to be able to increase airfare. So it's going to be interesting to see Delta called something like that out, United called something like that out, that they just see a lot of capacity, which puts pressure on their pricing, but they are totally in command of that supply and can reduce it as they wish.
And then I think there's some fear factor now coming into flying, but not because of accidents, but because of technology. How many times in the last...
Fear of being delayed, the fear of...
And all of us that are flying a lot, we're not on time very often anymore.
Right.
So...
Very, very important question just came in. Also super relevant. Why has our industry not upped our ice cream game?
Oh, man.
Clearly.
I mean, we've got DoubleTree cookies, right? We've got some other branded amenities, but so far, maybe a Mint House mint chocolate chip ice cream.
There you go. You heard it.
Feel free.
Stephanie
We'll talk about
Ricka's
the details.
mint ice cream. There we go.
Our own flavor, I like that.
I thought the ice cream game last night at the cocktail reception was totally on point. If you had that vodka drink, man, that was spectacular.
Well, you had a vodka drink?
Was there ice cream in that? It was so cool.
So are we predicting the latest travel trends right now in terms of demand across all segments? Because that's another topic that we are getting considerable questions on. We just had a panel before now on the new experienced traveler. And so we've heard a lot about what people want when they're traveling at all levels, right? And we hear a lot about golf. We hear a lot about spa. We hear a lot about maybe ice cream. What is that new traveler want? Is it any different from what we've always wanted?
So for us, I think what travelers want is they want flexibility. They want a different experience. They want to be able to not be tied to any particular, spaces or like that. They want to be able to be a little bit more free. It's so interesting. So my daughter is 25 and she's planning a trip. So I asked her like, where are you going to stay? And she told me like she's looking at Airbnb to see where she's going to stay next. And I was like,
And you said,
like, do you know what I do for a living? It's like, no, but we all agree. So it's also generational. I think if we really want to go after those guests that find the affinity with those kind of experiences, I think we need products. And I think that's one of the advantages of what we offer is that we are able to fulfill the expectations of business travelers, but we also recognize that our average customer is in the younger side, and that is because they also don't want to be surprised with some of the, what you read in the news from other type of vacation rental experiences.
Because I was going to say, I would take the exact opposite point of view on that. I don't want to be free. I want to be shackled to my loyalty program. I want to check in, I get my points, and then twice a year, I want to cash them all in and take my family to somewhere nice. So I
think it's generational.
I totally agree. I'm an old fart. I grew up with loyalty programs. And I totally think that for a specific age group of the elder, older, slightly above average age gentleman or family, I think those points still matter. But I totally hear you.
I think points matter, but again, as we talked about in the last podcast, is we need to do everything to remove that friction. And that flexibility is a friction to people. They want it to be flexible. They want to go when they want to go. They don't want.
Yeah, but the parent companies have what? Marriott has 35 brands, and Hilton has
But there's
brands,
other
and
pieces of
Accors.
flexibility that I have young kids, or a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old, and they grew up with a dad who was in branded companies all their life, and they still stay at Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I just can't figure it out.
Is it your biggest regret as parents?
Seriously.
Yeah, it's going,
That must-
dude,
Is that the secret regret of all hoteliers?
this company paid for your education.
Or your orthodontics.
Everything.
At least you can do is
It's
stay in a
like
hotel.
stay at my former company. It's like, come on.
So let's see. We're getting some questions coming in. Here's a good one. What do you think the next popular trend/event will be that has such an overarching impact like the Taylor Swift effect? I mean, we joke about it, but it is true. An event of that magnitude created a lot of room nights, and we had a great presentation this morning on the effect of events, right? And we've talked about the effect of sporting events. Sometimes we talk about those coming in. Can we even predict what that next thing might be?
If we could, would we be here right now? I'm just because it's serious. If we knew what the next big thing is, we wouldn't be here. No, you can't. I mean, I do think it's going to be on that side. Again, you saw what.
An entertainment enter,
something.
yes.
But who's the next big, artist? Who's going to do what she's done?
So it's more that idea of marrying experience in a place, right? So traveling to do.
And we are in a TikTok generation,
XYZ.
right? People want to take pictures, and I was there.
Like Emmy mentioned this morning.
Right, and I'm there. I was there.
I don't know if you can get at the same scale as Taylor Swift, but when I was a Red Roof, I learned a ton from just being in an economy brand. That football games, for example.
Totally.
Yep, we covered that this morning.
And there are all those sports events or concerts that I know their revenue management team there, like they were teaching me so much, and it was surprising the spikes that we saw in different kinds of events. I'm excited about the World Cup, but I don't know. I'm still. So, fun fact about me, I like to travel to watch soccer. And I've been in 6 World Cups. Like I went to the last one in Qatar and Brazil. And so I just like to go watch because I'm not that good. So now especially.
But you're not
but I
embarrassed
like to
watching
watch.
the U.S. women.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to the game coming up on Saturday. So what I think is going to be interesting with the World Cup is are we going to see that massive amount of people that we tend to see in Europe or in Latin America? I think it's going to be fun to see it. I'm rooting for the U.S. to get a lot of visitors to come and really experience. I was at IPW this year in LA, and they do a phenomenal job promoting the U.S. And if you add that the World Cup, I think we have a recipe for success. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm rooting for
Got some data.
I'm
Do you
rooting
have
for the
data?
U.S. on the hospitality side. I'm certainly rooting for a different country.
Oh,
when it comes
different
to the World Cup. Let's be very clear.
You're an American now. I thought you were a
Well, like I
citizen.
said,
Come on.
Check the
got it all
podcast back catalog. We do have an episode where we talk about this.
We should measure the Messi effect in hospitality. Like with Messi.
All right.
Like, is that?
We can do that.
Well, when they came to Nashville
when they
for
trained here.
the
Yeah,
first
we do
Cup
that.
game, it was lights out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, celebrities everywhere, and our stadium is a little bit off the beaten track, super hard to get in and out, and it was pretty awesome, I think, for that night. Now, the truth is also that at a certain income level, you don't stay; you just fly in and out. You know, so that happened as well.
What's that like?
Ask Beckham, I guess.
So the great news, since we're about to wrap up here, and I have a very hard-hitting question that I have to ask you all, but a lot of your questions that have come in great news, we've got a lot of data around it. Like some of you have asked about the impact of World Cup and about Olympics and so on and so forth. We've had sessions this morning touching on those very things about entertainment travel, group travel, sports tourism. So make sure you check the app and you'll see those presentation decks in there immediately. We also got a great question that I just want to address, that somebody's saying, you know, I don't have a lot of properties at the super high end or the middle or the super lower tier end. What's happening in the middle? We've got a session on that tomorrow, and it's called the Not So Missing Middle. So make sure you take a look at that. Now, gentlemen, we're almost at the end, and as longtime listeners of the Tell Me More podcast know, we always ask.
Yeah. We've been forgetting to do
I didn't
that.
even try for
We have
that
an
one.
audience.
Yeah.
I always close with the same question. I want to ask you each to share an interesting or fun simile or metaphor comparing the current state of the hotel industry to something else. Whatever you want. Could be a road trip snack, could be an Olympic sport, could be a song. And while you think about it for a second, we're going to put the slide up on the screen, the QR code, where you can shameless plug, smash like and subscribe, and get on board with the TMM podcast. All right, Jan, what's your metaphor?
Well, after what happened 3 hours ago or so, I got to say hurdling. You know, we got the U.S. got the gold medal and a new world record in hurdling, and I think the U.S. hotel industry is very much like a hurdle race right now. And I hope you make it all to the end.
That you clear the
Clear
hurdles
the
in
hurdles
every
is what I was
moment
gonna
and
say,
do
yes.
not stumble.
Yes.
You're just so freaking optimistic now. It's killing me now. It's killing me. Because my word is going to bring everyone down.
Keep
That's
going.
fine.
That's fine.
I think right now, especially when I look at ADR, we're in the doldrums. And
Again?
it's just, and I just see like, and I also see a lot of volatility that we didn't see before. So you see these big spikes and you see these ups and downs. And so I think it's a different time, and it's going to take, it's a different time. So.
Group ADR up 4%.
But that's
I am not
that's
used
what,
to this,
I-
where
I know.
Jan is the optimist and
I'm
I
telling you,
am the pessimist.
but there's a song. Like,
Of course, there's a
there's
song.
a song. There's always a song. Chappelle Rowan. I got to bring her up again. That's like the third time. It's not to be Chappelle. Love me anyway.
Love me anyway. Too bad we don't have that ready to get you up on track. So Alex, take us home, and hopefully it's a positive one.
That's great.
No pressure.
So I'm a proud dad of a a new person in the labor force. He just completed college, and before I got over the weekend, he was going through my closet, right? And we are the same size, and he finds this suit that
That's great.
is probably 20 years old, and he liked the suit. So I think we are in a phase like fashion. Fashion sometimes comes back, and this feels a little bit like some periods of 2008 that is feeling like a slowdown. But like with anything else, like we're going to go up, it's going to come down, and then we're going to go right back up. So that's the industry.
So bell bottoms will always come back in style.
Yes, exactly.
That is a great note to end on. Please, again, visit the QR code to learn more about Tell Me More and other fantastic podcasts that we produce at Hotel News Now. Right outside those doors is our Thursday evening reception, sponsored by Expedia. We'll see you out there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Davon Reed.
I'm Omari Head.
And I'm Chris Henry.
We're the hosts of the Next Gen and Lodging podcast on the Hotel News Now podcast network. It's a monthly show in which we interview a new generation of hoteliers to get their insights into a variety of disciplines and topics, from finance to food and beverage and hotel operations. Listen to us on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode of Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast, was recorded on August 8, 2024, in front of a live audience at the Hotel Data Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. The episode was edited by Sean McCracken. Find all hotel industry news at hotelnewsnow.com. Subscribe to this and all Hotel News Now podcasts wherever you like to listen. Just search for Hotel News Now. Thank you.